Hi, hello. So, what is next for NIKKE? Because in my previous video, I had a theory about how, there's the climax, Goddess Fall, and then I thought Terminus Ticket, and these like train events were going to be the like transitioning point from, like the first 40 chapters or so to maybe like the next 40. But, as much as people say, we're only in the prologue and the prologue just ended, uh, I don't think that's happening yet, because it seems that Terminus Ticket did not pan out like I thought it did. Because I thought that Lilith was going to appear, in that, she was going to like sabotage the excursion to the surface, but that doesn't seem to have happened whatsoever. I'm not going to spoil it too much, because Terminus Ticket 1 came out like yesterday, and then 2, we still have like half of the event left, so it just would not make that much sense for me to talk about it too elaborately. But either way, I don't think Lilith is going to be in it. She could, technically, since we do still have half the event left. But I'm pretty sure it's a self-contained story. I don't think that's going to happen. So, what do we think is going to happen for the rest of NIKKE? What does it mean for the story? First of all, it just means that the story does not affect the main event. So, we pretty much are at chapters 41 and 42, right? Then Goddess Fall, right? So we just defeated only one. We kind of recruited the four beasts. We adopted only one as our daughter. Anise is back and has like superpowers because of her big upgrade. Neon is still with Deep and is probably about to go through her own character arc for her upgrade. And then with Goddess Fall happening at about the same time, we, the commander, probably don't know that much about what happened, even if the player does, right? And then almost every pilgrim NIKKE got defeated or taken out of action, some of them permanently, by the Queen. And now the Queen is in a new body, Lilith's body, and she walked away, so now we have no idea what she's doing next. Brief side note, Lilith in mythology is literally known as the mother of demons. So that is just the perfect name for the Rapture Queen. But what's coming next for NIKKE? Well, there's three main fronts that we can talk about that. There's what is Lilith doing? What is the commander doing? In what future events are we going to get? Main story events, side events, whatever. Well, first of all, what is Lilith doing? I don't think Lilith, I'm going to say it, I don't think Lilith can make raptures yet. You see, the Rapture Queen, I think, used to make all the raptures from her space station satellite that she had on the moon. And now that, that's destroyed, and potentially her connection to raptures is maybe changed. This one might be just speculation. Because she has a new body, I'm not sure if her connection to raptures that were made with the previous body is still intact, but she'll probably regain it somehow. And then there's, the fact that there's only one main way that I can think of as to how she would gain the ability to manufacture the raptures. The massive, like, Harmony Cube things that were like arc production devices. We saw these earlier when we were rescuing Cinderella in the Crystal region, right? And I think they did say that there were other locations that the arc could have been built, and that there's probably some of those, special devices at most of those alternate locations, right? So even if there's only technically one arc that was like made successfully, Lilith might try to secure some of those, devices in order to repurpose them to make Rapture production facilities. Because the moment that we cut off her space elevator, while she was kind of isolated on the moon, then we have now defeated her satellite, which was like her main body. So technically speaking, she could just straight up have the ability to make raptures, or she could not. If she doesn't, I think trying to find those is probably the main way that she's going to do that. Also, if she can't make raptures, but even if she can, right now, she did just get proof that even some of, you know, the NIKKE, even if they're like the most powerful of NIKKE, can injure her. Previously, this was almost impossible, but now, even though she has the body of Lilith, the thing that she has sought to gain power and rejuvenate herself, she can still die pretty well. So realistically, given that, we learn that she's pretty cautious and she is kind of cowardly, she's probably running just straight, just gunning for those super weapons. What super weapons? Well, you remember Gluttony, don't you? Technically, we've only fought parts of Gluttony, but never like the real full power, the main body, so to speak. So I think that Lilith is going to have these like seven deadly sins themed super raptures, and that with those are going to be her main like super weapons against the Ark, right? Because we can defeat the conventional raptures, she's going to need some heavier weaponry, right? Recently, we did see that Anise is now able to wield huge, just absurd amounts of power. And so if she can do that, even if she's technically more of like a power conduit than a power source, I think, she could potentially fight these kinds of raptures. If there is ever a moment where they do implement like all seven of those types of raptures, and there's one called Wrath, I'm assuming that's like the most powerful of them, right? Most offense oriented. Dude. She could probably have just an absurdly cool moment where she just directly counters them. They throw an attack at her, and she just reflects it right back at them. That would be... Potentially, that would be one of the top 5 most hype moments in like the entire series. So with both of those ideas in mind, I think that what Lilith is going to do is to try to find those art creation devices, repurpose them into Rapture production facilities, if she even knows that those exist. But, I don't know, she's kind of just like wandering around for all we know. Realistically, she might just encounter one of them, or she might already know where they are. Because she has been stuck on, like, the moon for, like, 100 years or something. She can probably look down at the Earth with decent accuracy and see those, right? Then, collecting super raptures, like the Kraken, along the way, and then she's going to probably seek out the 7 deadly sins themed raptures to have just like a super rapture army. Side note, as a huge nihilister glazer myself, what if Lilith, in creating new raptures, brings back Nihilister, but in a new body? See, they could have a demon theme, and to really align with Lilith's, and like, just imagine it. Demon, Dragon, Nihilister. That would be so cool. uh, I would love that. But then, well, what is the commander doing? Since it doesn't seem like we, as the commander, even really know that much about what happened in Goddess Fall, and we're technically just doing, like these like ticket train themed side quests, which doesn't seem to impact the story that much. Getting caught up with Goddess Fall and probably contacted by some of the people who survived it, probably, the immediate first thing. And then after that, The only three things I can think, I can really imagine the commander doing is keep exploring the surface. They did make the new surface exploration mode for a reason. We're maybe going to encounter some new regions, and then maybe we can encounter part of whatever Lilith is doing on the surface, her activity, her plans, her devious plans. We could uncover them. And then maybe we can, like, meet another arc out there. This one is just, like, a pure theory. I don't even think this one's going to be true, but I'm not sure if there's any actual proof that the arc we're from is the only successful one. So, what if there's more? But, realistically, explore the surface, go through some new regions, and then maybe encounter Lilith, right? Three big things. Other than that, there's not really a lot of like a new direction for the commander to do. But then, and like this is probably my favorite thing to speculate about, what are the new future events? So first of all, as I previously stated, Neon. Neon definitely needs her character arc. The only thing is, Anise got her character arc in a way that was not fun until it paid off. But it was really boring before that, to the point where other than the first couple of like chapter moments, first couple of cutscenes, I kind of just skipped through most of it. I think we pretty much all did. So realistically, I think for Neon, she should probably have an event dedicated to her new character arc. I think that would be best. Then after that, well, Terminus Ticket is supposed to last until like the end of December. And then maybe we'll get a little, small thing with like January and whatnot. But then, well, there's Valentine's Day. Hey, this isn't a harem collection simulator for nothing. We could get romance, baby. But speaking of babies, Rappy is technically now a mom. So, I mean, we did get the Yes Commander skin. So I'm thinking, can Rappy escape the cuck chair? That's that's probably what I would think Valentine's Day would be about. Because technically, this is like her moment to escape the chair. She's won, but can she stay winning? And this is just like super obvious. Obviously, we're getting new bodies for the pilgrims. It would be crazy to think that we're not getting them new bodies and like new character models entirely. Because like, they're all set up to be able to have that. And the money-making potential for it is just too much to ignore. They're not only some of the most popular characters, but are also, like needed in the story, all new again. So realistically, there's no possible way they're just gonna like put them back in their old bodies, right? Because some of them are only as useful as you can get before you reach the meta. The brief side note, there is a strong possibility that the gluttony style raptures, those 7, maybe more, they could have humanoid versions for themselves. And if those 4 beasts were popular, oh my god. If those 4 beasts were popular, then humanoid characters that control the like super big bodies that like Gluttony has, oh yeah, that's gonna be popular. That would probably be one of their most like popular villain things altogether. Because we've got the 4 beasts, then we've got what's her name? Liberalia, right? So that's 5. If we had seven, yeah, they're going to be more popular. Plus, they can have so much more like distinct personalities because they're all themed around different things. Speaking of which, horrifyingly enough, some of them could actually be smart. We all thought, oh, okay, Bahamut is going to be the smart one. Turns out Behemoth is both the brute and kind of the smart one out of the four beasts. Okay, that didn't really work out as we thought. But if there is a, super rapture, super heretic villain coming up, and it's Pride, that would be the number one character I would expect to have a mutiny against Lilith. Greed? Oh, well, Greed could just be tempted into betraying her too. Also, like, obviously, guys, come on. Lust? Lust not being a super hottie out for our body would be a total waste, bro. Like, Shift Up has all the potential to just make like a super, just like ultra hot yandere villain, and we would love that so much as players. We know who we are. Hey man, we're already practically in the church of, how do I even say this word, bro? Adonatology. Yeah, we're practically already in the church of Adonatology. Easy clap, easy money. After all that is said, the only other thing I can think that they might do is a Lunar New Year event. And if they have that, if they make those outfits, oh my god, you already know they're gonna sell so much from that. They could put one of those outfits on nearly anyone, and it would be absolutely fantastic, my brothers. Glory to the tasteful good. Anyways, share some of your best theories and ideas in the comments, and let me know who, like some of your favorite NIKKE are in there. We can have a little fandom competition of our favorite NIKKE. But that's all I've got to say. Goodbye.